Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to be reading Winged Spiders, and I'm very excited because this is my first ever fan fiction that I am reading, especially on this channel. So please feel free to correct or give constructive criticism in the comments. I will be linking the fic in the description, and I'll also leave the approval note in the description as well. So without further ado, let's get into this. Chapter 1. Summary. Peter wanted to save his world so badly he asked Strange to make everyone forget who he was. As a prize, it also meant leaving his universe to one where he doesn't exist or would never exist. What Peter doesn't expect was to be wearing diapers again. Dick was just trying to go to sleep and not deal with the baby that came out of a portal that appeared in the middle of his room. What do you mean they look alike? Chapter 1. Peter sighed, looking at the strange city he landed in after Dr. Strange helped make everyone forget who he was. This somehow resulted in Peter ending up here, in this apartment bedroom, with a man who's currently freaking out. A bit of backstory. Peter needed to find a way to save his world and universe from breaking apart. The only thing he could think of was to make everyone forget about him. Strange agreed to do the spell, but as a price, Peter could no longer live in the universe and had to go to one where he'd never exist. Now, he was watching some guy who looked a lot like his dead dad freak out over a baby. That was weird because Peter didn't see a baby. Wait. Peter finally looked at his body. His clothes were big, far too big to fit him. His duffel bag was also in the room where his Spider-Man suit and other clothes were. Peter saw a large mirror in the room, and looking back at him was a child about a few months old. What? Peter crawled up to the mirror, dragging his large t-shirt with him, and touched his face. He was surprised when the child in the mirror did the same motion. How did this happen? This shouldn't have happened. He was 17 a few seconds ago. He was interrupted by his mental freak out. He was interrupted from his mental freak out by the adult. Checking yourself out, little dude? The man who looked a lot like his dead dad asked. Peter didn't exactly remember his father, but Aunt May and Uncle Ben had shown pictures and old video recordings of his parents. This guy looked and sounded exactly like his dead dad. Peter looked around the bedroom, seeing weapons on the wall and what looked like a costume on the bed. This guy was a vigilante. Peter's spider sense didn't activate, so he could probably trust this guy. He frowned and crawled back to his clothes. Peter picked up his pants and grabbed the wallet inside one of the pockets. The dad clone kneeled down to Peter's side and asked, "Are you trying to show me something, buddy?" Peter could tell the guy was nervous. He handed the adult the wallet. The man looked through it and found the ID. Peter Parker, 17 years old, born 2001, the man whispered. The man looked at Peter, then at the ID. He did several times before asking, "Wait, you're Peter Parker?" Peter nodded. "How did this," he pointed to Peter's baby body, "happen?" Peter shrugged. "Oh my God. I'm talking to a baby that is 17 years old on the inside. And are you sucking your thumb?" Peter realized he was exactly doing that, but decided to still keep sucking it because it felt good. The man sighed and said, "Might as well introduce myself. I'm Richard Grayson. Most people call me Dick." Peter laughed at that. Dick frowned and said, "Sure, laugh it up." Looking at the clock on his desk, Peter saw it was 2 in the morning. He pointed at the clock. "Oh, it is pretty late. Wait, I need to ask you something. How are you here and you already fell asleep?" There are many situations Dick Grayson was prepared for. Crooks, alien attacks, even robot attacks. Not some baby who just appeared in the portal sitting in the middle of his room. Okay, so this kid wasn't entirely a baby, just a teenager trapped inside of a baby body. Wait, it's 2012. The kid, Peter Parker, should at least be 11, not an 8 to 9 month old baby. Dick sighed. Peter most likely had something very exhausting going on from wherever he came from. He carefully lifted the baby up into his arms. He never had the opportunity to really hold a baby before. Okay, he held babies whenever they were in danger, but he never held one. A few of his old teammates already have children, but the kids were too shy to get close. It felt good, and also felt right. Like a missing piece of him was finally given to him. Dick had no crib, but he saw no reason to not be in the same bed as the baby to keep him safe. He removed his costume and placed the sleeping infant on the side near the wall. Dick himself laid down next to Peter until the sun is up, and it's just until the sun is up and they'll figure out what to do from there. Dick woke up to whimpering. It's dawn. He could see Peter wiggling around as if trying to grab something. Peter, wake up," he whispered. May, Peter cried out in his sleep. Dick shook him and calling out his name. Peter's hazel eyes snapped open. His little chubby face was red and a tear dripped down his face. It felt like daggers stabbing into Dick's heart. "Hey, it's okay. You're safe, buddy," Dick's voice said in a comforting voice. Peter grabbed Dick's shirt tightly. The man smiled and lifted up the baby into his arms. "Do you want to sleep some more, or are we staying up?" Dick asked. Peter mumbled something. Dick tilted his head. Peter said with an apologetic face. That's when Dick felt something warm and wet on his t-shirt. Alfred was getting breakfast ready for the family at the manor when his phone rang. The caller ID showed Dick Grayson. Alfred answered. "Master Dick, good morning," he said. Dick replied, "Hello, Alfred." Alfred sighed. "Master Dick, what's wrong?" "Nothing gets past you, huh?" Dick asked. Alfred stayed silent. "Okay, look, I don't want to tell anyone about this, but I need you to pick up some items for me," Dick said. "And those items would be diapers, baby clothes for an 8-month-old baby. Diapers, baby clothes for an 8-month-old, baby formula, and maybe a crib, a portable one. And stop sucking your thumbs." A high-pitched scream was heard at the other side of the phone. Alfred just hoped Dick didn't do what he was starting to think is going on. Hello, so thank you for sticking with me to the end. It may have been a lot because I've stuttered. I've probably mispronounced words, probably repeated sentences even. So I'm sorry, but I'm working on it. Also, if you hear any music or noises in the background, please bear with me because that is from my downstairs. My mom and little sister are watching something. So you may hear some background noises, which again, I apologize for, but I'm working on it. So I hope everybody that stuck with me to the end has a great day or night, whichever one this comes out in. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye, my little orphan.